This is Raphael, and we're talking about everyday life and maybe not a peak experience here or there. What does this really mean for life expression? So it is a jolt, like a lightning bolt, or here, spirit just moved you from this car that was dying to the brand new model, 0 miles. So it can give you a massive upgrade in life, which may involve look around at the kind of housing you have all of a sudden, or the kind of people who are around you, or the kind of clothing, or any kind of whatever you use to measure how am I doing in terms of what might look like a physical upgrade in life. So it can bring that, absolutely. However, it's not likely to bring that through systems. So, what you're upgrading out of is the reliance on systemic thinking, systemic patterns that could have been holding you back. For some people, that means old belief systems. I can't have this. I'm not good enough, or whatever it is. For some people, that means banking systems, school systems, things that are repressive in nature. And so you've been ready. You don't have that sense of looped thinking that's holding you back. You've been ready, but there's this society built on these suppressive systems, and that has had to greater or lesser degrees some suppressive effect on just living it already. So those systems with this upgrade become less important to everyone. Now, when you're not that interested in power over systems or count my dollars in the bank systems, that's a really, really good thing. It gives you a lot of freedom for life expression, for daily life, not being so bound by needing to do well in those systems, as well as understanding greater truths and greater abundances and greater joys, and just wanting to move on to that already, right? So when the whole planet has less reliance on these systems, it gives you greater freedom to live the way you already are without having to go back and forth. Okay, but I got to resource myself according to these old systems. Okay, now I can be myself for a little while. Oh, got to go back and resource, right? So you've all, to some extent, been playing this game for a little while, the last few years, particularly where you're very aware this system is no longer relevant to me. However, I kind of need it to get by. And so you're essentially not going to need it to get by, is the short answer. So for those people who still love the system, still really relying on the lottery win as being the answer to all their prayers, they may be in for more of a rocky time because those systems are going to stop reliably supporting everyone. So it's very good news, again, when you don't want to be tied to having to go back to those slower systems. But when you think that's all there is, it can feel alarming. So we say that not because we think anyone here is in that boat, but because people around you, family or friends or colleagues, may take these changes that way. The world has become unreliable. This is shocking. It feels fearful. So to have compassion, and yes, you can't go in and live their life choices and explain it to them. You probably don't want to hear it, but just to have compassion that it's going to have almost an opposite effect for you as it will for someone else. Roughly half now. Enough people are signed up, so to speak, for Ascension, the free ride Ascension, that it's about half-half in terms of how people will take the surge of energies, other than, oh no, this is a sign that the world is even less reliable than I thought it was, and others feeling great freedom. So please remember that anyone who doesn't take the free ride can still take it at any time. Yes, it's not as dramatic, but the doors are wide open. So no one gets left behind. So it is the frustrating part, and it's why these little examples are coming up about other people's choices, because this is really in the field, it's about to loom very large. Oh, why is this person staying in suffering when it's like the heavenly gates have opened? And we're not saying this in any religious sense, but it's Like a whole new world opens up, and yet you'll see people who start to feel so stuck and so much like they can't rely on the world any longer because they can't. That old world is crumbling. So it is highly personal in terms of daily life and how this will shape how you live your life. And it's going to look like an upgrade, but again, not in through traditional systems, most likely, because the universe and the angels are creative. Sometimes it'll come through those systems. You know, someone does win the lottery, so hey, someone will. So in other words, this old belief that if I just had $1 million or I just had money, everything would be fine, right? Each of you know that it's just not the case.
Yeah.
So we like to take you right to, well, what is it that you actually want? What would you buy with that $1 million? And then why don't you just have that? And you don't need the money for it. So it is a time of wish fulfillment. And some of this will be in an energetic sense, that some of you have wanted telepathy or learning how to fly or things that, again, are very unreasonable. And those kind of things become much more accessible in the field. And so your form of abundance may change as you realize, oh, well, yeah, these other systems, like maybe it's suddenly become impossible to get that extra master's degree or something systemic, but oh, I can learn to fly in 3 hours. Okay, well, maybe I don't, maybe the master's degree feels less important all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So, yeah, some things have become more difficult after this change. If you look back and notice, well, this area of my life still is really stuck. Go deeper, maybe 3 levels deeper with what is it that I really want here? Because it may be that just because you grew up, in multiple lifetimes, not just this one, with a certain systemic thinking in society, it's hard to wish outside of the box in those confines. So something stuck, it may be that you were wishing with for the best case scenario that you could imagine within those confines. Now the confines are not there. You can wish for something else that's more direct to what your heart wants in this life. So yes, it's dramatic, but life goes on, but we don't want to say it's the same either.
Yeah.
Life won't be the same, but it has more to do with how unlimited you know you are now, and what will I do with that now? All that doesn't arrive in the same day. But you might suddenly have the confidence or the inner knowing or the strength or the sight and foresight to see that that is there. And I can now live a boldly, vastly different life, starting now. It doesn't mean you live all that whole life in 1 hour. So if again, from systemic thinking, if you're looking for this external signs that have to do with systems, a number of dollars in the bank or something like that, you might think, oh, well, it didn't happen on Ascension Day. I didn't get that debit into my bank account. Someone promised, some psychic promised me that would happen during Ascension. And you can just laugh at, oh, that was probably the best that that person could imagine in terms of what you'll be is resourced by the universe to be what you want to be now. And part of that is freedom from having to spend so much of your time chasing systems around and playing the game. There's very little that most people want. It's just that the bar has been so high in terms of satisfying the systems just to have the peace to be outside for an hour, take a vacation, or be with loved ones, or that then it adds all these piled up wishes about, well, that must mean I have the job that's good enough that I have 4 weeks off, or what if you just could, that wasn't an issue, didn't have the job, but you also had the resources to take as much time off as you wanted. So things like that you may need to playfully reimagine if you feel you get any place is still stuck after this big ride up, but there'll be enough of obvious signs to you that you have the confidence to do that.